Hey everybody, this is Rima. Today we're talking about North Node through houses in your horoscope and what your soul is here to conquer based on where your North Node is. Now, one of the reasons I'm making this video so instinctively is because when I go for my walks, I listen to different astrology videos, and some of them, when I hear them, it almost enrages me because a lot of the information that is shared via YouTube and internet is so negative, wrong information, wrong knowledge, completely opposite at times. And I want to make this a quick series of along the 12 zodiac signs. If you have North Node in a particular zodiac sign or a house in your chart, what it means. Okay, let's begin. So this one is more towards based on the house in which your North Node Rahu is placed, and the astrology that I follow is sidereal, or in other words Vedic Astrology, one that has been originated in India, the country India. And I feel like there's a lot of breeze, so let me see if I can, so that you guys can hear me properly. Here, better. But first house also as such, correlates with the sign of Aries. So it would be similar if you have North Node in the sign of Aries in another house. It would mean that you're going to combine the sign of Aries, that is the first house, and the particular house that it's sitting in. You're going to combine those two effects together. That's it. It's pretty simple in that sense. Okay. So let's say that your North Node is in the first house in your birth chart. Doesn't matter what zodiac sign, but just in the first house. That means that North Node, wherever North Node sits in your chart, that's the area of life we've come here to master. Directly opposite, 180 degrees, reflecting onto North Node, is the South Node. That is the area of your life that we have already mastered in past life. So we will naturally be very inclined to doing things that are related to the house where a South Node is placed, because that's our easy zone, that's our comfort zone. But North Node position, or Rahu's position in our chart, shows us where our struggle is, thank you for watching and following, it shows us where we need to put in our efforts. And if we master that, you'll find a lot more happiness in your life. You'll find that challenges in your life automatically smoothen out. So in the first house is your physical body, your entire life, your entire self. When North Node Rahu is in the first house, it can give you a very different, awkward body in a sense, or it's not easy to have a good figure or stay slim, etc. in general. And with the South Node being in the 7th house directly opposite, it's very easy to pay a lot of attention to other people and want to feel good about yourself through other people. So the weakness there is, or the lesson there is, to learn to love yourself. The art of self-love, the art of taking care of your body, as well as paying a lot of attention on other people, on your partner, on the public, etc. So a person born in North Node, with North Node in the first house or an Aries, can have a tendency to give too much to other people. They give so much, they do so much, they're overly kind, they overly give. And please let me know if the wind rustling, maybe I should go sit inside the car, because the wind rustling, you may not be able to hear me properly. So what you need to do with first house North Node is to draw boundaries and to give yourself before you give others. It's like filling your own pot, filling up your own heart before you give others, because there can be a tendency of emptying out yourself too much, ignoring yourself too much, and just giving just so much to other people that they don't even value you. They find this experience, people with North Node in the first house, they feel like, why do other people don't do enough for me when I do so much for them? And you can find this combination with other things in your chart also, but particularly people with North Node in the first house. That's because your lesson here is you've given so much to others always in past life. So the lesson for you now is, it's not selfish to care for yourself. That's called self-care. It's important to care for your body. It's important to set time aside for your exercise, for your meditation, to learn to love yourself for who you are and not criticize yourself, as versus trying to gain appreciation from others. So that's a positive sign in a way, when society can put too much attention and focus on being humble and being overly kind and compassionate. With people who have North Node in the first house, can say proudly and can learn to be, it's okay to care for yourself. That is just as important as being kind to others, being kind to yourself, number one. People with North Node in the second house. The second house is the house of eating and earning. So even early family life. So they have a very difficult, disruptive family lives while growing up, or very awkward, just very like not fitting the norm. There can be embarrassing situations relating to family, etc. But there can also be a tendency to wanting to earn a lot of money. So definitely a person with a second house Rahu North Node wants to be very rich. They'll always talk about, I want to earn a lot of money, but they want to do that through shortcuts, and they can do that through illicit ways, through illegal ways, through trying to cheat other people, trying to take shortcuts when they feel like I'll put in so much money and partner with somebody who looks very good out in the world, but then they find that their money has been taken away and absorbed, because South Node is in the 8th house, opposite, like they're hidden enemies. And so the lesson here is to learn to put in efforts to earn money. That money is not just, as versus trying to get money through other people, trying to cheat other people, trying to depend on other people to bring you money. Like second house Rahu will want to marry a person who will bring money in their life, but it doesn't work to their favor. It always will not work, because the lesson here is to learn to put in your efforts. It's your responsibility to provide for yourself. And even with eating, they can have disruptive or unhealthy, unproductive eating habits. And so here again, the focus is discipline per se. Third house, North Node. Third house is the house of self-efforts. And it can be a good placement for North Node to be there, because it's a negative. Rahu is a malefic planet, considered to be a malefic planet in a malefic house of self-efforts. And Rahu is very materialistic in nature in general, not always. But so when a materialistic planet comes in the house of efforts, it wants to do anything that is required to earn and get what it wants. But again, the North Node, depending on its quality and placement, can tend to put in efforts in the wrong direction, towards the wrong things. And lessons over here can be, as versus just relying on yourself and feeling like I know the best, I know what to do, and just randomly trial and error. Learn to put in more cautious efforts. Learn to put in efforts in a way that are not shortcuts to reach a goal, and to work hard and to sustain that hard work to reach towards a goal. It can also mean learning to cooperate more and do short dealings with your neighbors, through your friends, and not just be all focused on yourself. So there's some lesson here to learn to just mingle a little bit and learn to gain from other people as well. They can have a lot of knowledge, because South Node being in the 9th house, it means you have a lot of higher knowledge, understanding of life. You understand all that, but now your lesson here is to learn to put in the efforts that are required to achieve a goal without trying to get it in a shortcut manner. Okay, 4th house, North Node is 4th house is the house of happiness and home. So with the 4th house in the North Node, what this can make a person is a hoarder in many ways. They can collect too many things, have just so much in their house. Oftentimes astrologers will rightfully say that their house will look like a museum. And they'll wear a lot of like crystals, and you'll find that it's just very awkward looking in many ways. Their home especially. But also they can be lazy with house duties. A person with North Node, I've known people very close to me, their focus is all on their career. They're so focused on getting the fame, being out in the world, getting respect from other people, that they almost forget that they have assets. They have their own family who can provide them with a lot of happiness. But they feel dissatisfied in their heart, because 4th house is the heart, and partly the reason is because they're constantly focusing on the outside world and getting name and fame, as versus the lesson here is to learn to appreciate what you have, to learn to appreciate your family, learn to appreciate the resources that you have in your home, the things that you have, and use them, as versus just continue collecting them. And also to learn to give to your family, to learn to give them time, to learn to give your home efforts and time. Like they will tell you they don't like doing housework at all, like they just don't like it, but that's your lesson here. That's one way. When you have a peaceful home, you won't need to go outside and look for pleasure and peace and happiness from outside, right? So that is the lesson. With North Node in the 5th house, there is a lot of emphasis on wanting more and more children, fun in life, and experiments in terms of exploring relationships, exploring just different even you will find that they could probably start ventures and close them and start and close. There's a lot of trial and error because there's a sense of wanting adventure, a lot of adventure. And with the South Node looking at the 11th house, they naturally know how to get gains. They're very good at, finances in a certain way, like stock market. All of that is 11th house's gains, house of gains. Even with networking with people at large, that's just naturally inbuilt with them, in them through past lives. But their lesson for this life is to learn to feel stable and satisfied with, focus their efforts on. In fact, it can sometimes, I'm sorry if I said, there can be an emphasis on wanting a lot of children, but there's no satisfaction there. So learning to have fun in life and not always focused on getting gains all the time, not putting too much efforts and constantly wanting to earn more and more and more money or network with more and more and more people, but also learning to enjoy time with your children, enjoy time with, take time aside to have fun and be okay with exploring, and then putting in enough efforts to be able to stabilize those it's like you start a venture and then you can feel like I'm not satisfied with this, and you start something else and you're not satisfied with this, and then you keep doing that, and until North Node reaches the midlife, and again it depends on the entire chart combination what it's like, but typically we say that by mid-40s, by early 40s, the North Node negative effects can reduce. It can stabilize your mind more. So by then it can give you more confidence, and I know exactly now what kind of business I want to do. I know exactly now to be happy with the small family that I have. They may have one child or two children, or they may have many children sometimes, but they're still not happy with what they feel that it's not enough. So the lesson there is to have fun with what you already have in life. The 6th house North Node is here. The lesson is about health and day-to-day work. So the day-to-day routine life, with the South Node being in the 12th house, they can be too focused on the esoteric world, materialistic world, or they can be too much into 12th house can also be dark energies in some sense. So in several different ways, like we can say that things that people do at night, that are illegal, can be 12th house, can be 8th house things. We can also say that people that are very lonely and in their own mental frame all the time, they're in a trance, in a different world, that's also 12th house. People who are spiritually connected to the other realm is also 12th house. So there can be so many different effects based on the entire chart and the quality of North Node and South Node. But in general, it means the lesson here is to care for your health, to understand that taking care of your health and your life requires everyday routine efforts. It can't be that you put in a little bit effort and you expect to get stability for life. So your people do not typically like to be in a job. They do not like to be told what to do. They like to have their free reign, but then they can be so distracted, and so there can be such a lack of discipline that in the materialistic realm of the day-to-day life requires you to wake up, take a shower, get a routine exercise, go to work, earn money. That's very hard for people with North Node in the 6th. You can find that they can be shifting or hopping jobs too much. And so that's your lesson here, to learn to stabilize that part. 7th house North Node, it's the exact opposite of the 1st house. So 7th house North Node people with South Node exactly opposite in the 1st house can have a lot of focus on themselves. They can be very introverted per se, and they may be wanting to, give me one second. And they may be wanting to just be in their own comfort zone a lot and expect other people to adjust to them and adapt to them, and not be easy. Their lessons here is to learn to learn through relationships, learn to cooperate with others, learn to adjust to others, compromise. And part of it is by exploring many different relationships, they kind of can get to understand how human relationships work. So they're very good at being confident. They're very good at learning how to care for themselves, but they're not good at learning how to care for others and be in relationship with others. So you can find that they can be in many relationships, and you may not know, there may be people with South Node in the 7th house. I know many of them, my friends, and when I know their inner lives, I know that they're in many relationships and they may be hiding it from others. They can be extramarital affairs that they could do, and it's not negative in a sense, because their lesson here is they don't feel satisfied with one partner. They feel like they can have the best partner, but still they feel like it's not enough for me, it's not good enough for me. Eighth house North Node is again the opposite of the second house. Here they know how to earn money. It's very easy for them. They may earn money, spend it, but they know somehow or the other they'll always get the money. But the lesson here is to learn to, it's okay to be dependent on other people. It's okay to be interdependent on other people to earn money and to get benefit from others. It's also, the focus here is also to learn to tap into your sixth sense, your intuition, your higher esoteric knowledge. Occult is also eighth house. Hidden secrets of life, they can be too shallow in terms of the focus can be too much on earning money and getting financial stability, where they almost miss out on the great gifts that they have to tap into the higher realms. And also problems with in-laws, like they just don't find it easy to accept what others have to give you. They may be getting a lot from others if they choose to, so that's the lesson for 8th house North Node. 9th house North Node, that's a little bit of the naughty one here, in the sense that they can tend to easily reject advice or getting knowledge from others. There's a tendency of saying, I know a lot and I don't need to learn from you, or that they can reject other people's ideas very quickly, very easily, because 9th house is higher knowledge. It's the house of guru, it's the house of fatherly blessings, which in the olden times, father was a person who would guide you, right? So that's why they've given 9th house guru and father, they've given them equal relationship in that sense, which may not always be true in today's world. But the understanding there is that learn to get knowledge from others and accept it to your benefit, because they can I'll put in a lot of efforts, they can be hardworking, but here you will find that when they need help, they will go to others, they'll ask for advice because they genuinely need help. But when they get the advice, they're going to reject it and they're going to say, well, no, there can be a little bit of that ego there also. So they can break laws. Also same with 8th house, 8th and 9th house North Node, they're the people who will not care for a traffic light as easily or speed more. They can have speeding tickets or tax related problems. They want to get the shortcuts where they don't want to do the legalities involved. They try to see where can I find my little shortcuts and not have to follow all the rules. 10th house North Node, a lot of learning here is the opposite of the 4th house North Node, right? So they're excellent at taking care of home and family, because that's where the South Node is. They're very good family members, and they can be perfect hosts, they can be very warm, but then they give so much to the family that they lose out on their career, and they lose out on the talents that they have, immense talents to share with the world. So for them, just like the first house, the good part for 10th house North Node is saying it's okay to ask for fame, it's okay to ask for status in society, and it's okay to pursue that and give it time and give it energy, as versus always trying to get acceptance from the family or putting too much focus on the family. So it's a positive side in a way. It's like an encouragement, like, no, go ahead and follow your career, and that's your lesson here. Your soul is here to shine, and allow it to shine in the world. 11th house North Node can be, let me tell you, 10th house North Node can also give problems with the father, similar to 9th house. 10th house North Node, 11th house North Node, again here, there's a lot of satisfaction through children and through relationships that are exploring relationships, when you have infatuations and you're having affairs. So it's very common, people just naturally come to them, they're attracted. That's all 5th house things in the South Node. But with 11th North Node in the 11th house, it can mean that it's important for you to focus on your gains. It's important for you to connect with large organizations and learn to work alongside them and cooperate and learn about finances and focus your attention on gains. You don't give so much time to your children and to your fun side of life that you almost forget that it's important for you and to have stability through gains, through financial gains, through gains through other people, friends. So they can sacrifice their friends to be with their children and their fun side. And that tug of war of, then they want to be with friends, and then they are too much of that, and they try to come back to their children. So remember that North Node and South Node, there's always a tug of war. You try to go to the South Node things, those are easy, and then you get too much of it, and then you come back to the North Node. And the moment you master North Node lessons of your life will start getting much, much easier. It is so important for us to focus on our North Node, wherever it is, and learn those lessons. Put your efforts there. 12th house North Node is the opposite of 6th house, so and they can be extremely good at earning money. Day-to-day routines, they can be very disciplined. They know how to work a job. They know how to sustain a job. They know how to get up every day, put in the efforts required to, even mingle around with other people and say what they need to say, be diplomatic, and all of that. But then the 12th house North Node lessons are, there is a life beyond you, right? Beyond the materialistic earth, which they're not satisfied within, because they're always saying, well, what is beyond earth? I'm curious about life or they may have experiences that they're like trying to shut down because it's very scary for them. And so the lesson for them here is to meditate more, to connect with people that are into spiritual fields, to connect with and follow that more, and allow yourself to be absorbed into that realm also. It can give a tendency for addictions. What happens is that people don't realize when we're talking about addictions in astrology, through astrology, this is my understanding, especially with positions like North Node in the 12th house. It is, if you are not tapping into that spiritual energy, those gifts that have been given to you, the lessons that your soul is here to learn, then you're going to turn to addictions because you're suppressing that energy. And to suppress pain, to suppress that, you need to get into something that's going to absorb you, right? So those are addictions. Gambling, gaming, smoking, drinking, sex, all of those addictions, they can give you with North Node and South Node in the 12th house or in the sign of Pisces and etc. But if you in fact direct that energy towards just the spiritual side, your North Node would start to feel, it'll ask for more and more, so give it more spirituality, just continue to give it more, feed that soul, and then you will find that automatically your addictions will start to fall out, they will start to go away. And you can have people with North Node who have other positions that can have addictions. There are other combinations in the chart without the North Node where you can see people have addictions, so that's totally different astrology. But right now I'm only talking about the lessons that our soul is here to learn based on where our North Node is. And to end my video, many people wonder, or astrologers wonder, what really is the North Node? And I recently saw a video of Umang Taneja. I really like him as an astrologer. He teaches only in Hindi most of the time, I know. Most of the time, not only, most of the time. He's very hilarious. He calls astrologers out on their nonsense like that, and I appreciate that because I'm that person. I'll be very blunt. I'll say, what you're doing is wrong. I don't appreciate it. So he's like that too. I identify with him. And he has explained in a beautiful way what Rahu and Ketu, North Node and South Node, are astronomically. Because the earth is tilted, its cycle is elliptical, and the moon has a cycle around the earth. When those two points meet, points of shadow, when the moon aligns at a certain point, it's the way he explains it is amazing. So go look for Umang Taneja's video on Rahu if you want to understand astronomically what it is. But in short, it's just a quick moving point, like a particular point of alignment of earth, moon and sun, where the energies of the sun can get blocked or the shadow areas of the moon can become more apparent, right? That's why they're called shadow planets. Okay, I hope that this gave you some insight. As much as I feel like I don't want to be on Facebook, I'll see. I don't know. I just love it when people tell me they are getting guidance and it's inspiring them and giving them knowledge, or it's giving them things that they need to move forward in life. So thank you for listening. Bye bye. This is Rima Desai.